back to my notes here. And also, you know, I think we're very lucky to be able to do this right here next to Hank Kaminsky's Peace Sphere. Isn't that appropriate for what we're doing? I love that thing. Of course, we would, since we are the curators of the Ozark Ball Museum. My name's Kelly Mulholland, and I'm on the board of the OMNI Center for Peace, Justice, and Ecology. And welcome everybody to this event. You might have noticed the bomb. Have you noticed the bomb, anybody? It's kind of subtle over here, this thing. This is lurking here, kind of ominously. This is actually a mock-up of a very important and very tragic thing that happened in 1945. This a device very similar to this was dropped on Nagasaki, and this one is actually called the Fat Man. The one in Hiroshima was called Little Boy, but this is called the Fat Man. I must say that it's been kind of odd. I made this in my backyard, and there were a few strange conversations that went on. Can you imagine? The NSA has been checking. You know, Donna's on the phone like, let me see if Kelly's in the backyard. I think he's building a bomb back there. So we're triggering all these algorithms on the NSA's telephone network, I guess. Is that the national security? Who knows? But our theme today is a new generation of truth. And that's very fitting. It turns out that I didn't do this all by myself. Actually, Donna helped me. She painted it. And then we had the OMNI Youth Group come, and they did a fantastic job of putting the chicken wire on. And let's have a hand for them. And I think that leads nicely to our theme, a new generation of truth. And what we mean about that is that there are new ways of looking at this tragic event. And today we're going to explore some of the new ways. There's been a lot of time has passed since that tragic event happened. You know, people like myself grew up in a time, and most everybody here grew up in a time when we were taught that this was some heroic deed, and that we had done this to win the war and people's lives were saved. And then, you know, eventually you unlearn some of these myths, and it takes a while, but you know there's a new generation that's coming that is not going to have to unlearn those myths. We're going to move beyond that. The truth is starting to come out. Enough distance has passed where now we can speak intelligently about this issue and finally assess it for what it really was, the horrific event that it really was. And we also have some nice, one speaker tonight is going to talk about some new solutions on abolishing this terrible weapon. So I'm excited about that. So, you know, there's some things that we always do. By the way, like I say, this is the oldest continual peace event in Fayetteville. Started in the 70s. And I think there was a little gap in the 80s, I believe. Is that right? Yes. Thank you, Big Bennett, and others. And so somehow or another, it's managed to keep on going year after year, and thank you for being a part of that tradition. One thing we always like to do is we have a proclamation, and I'm very happy to tell you, and you probably already heard this through the grapevine, that the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship has a brand new minister finally, and I am real excited about that. In fact, we got to meet, Don and I were playing in Topeka, Kansas, and he was the interim minister there when we played, and so we got to meet him, and I think we're very, very fortunate. So, if you would help me welcoming, and by the way, he's from Kansas, longtime Kansan, and now an Ozarkian. Let's all welcome Reverend Jim Parrish.
Let us enter into this time of memory and intent with a prayer and meditation. Please center, find your breath, let your breath out, and join together in an attitude of reverence. Spirit of compassion, of life and love, which goes by many names, and some hold nameless. Help us understand the fear that each one of us holds in our hearts. Fear that causes or stands aside when confronted with violence. Help us have compassion for ourselves and our flaws, so that we might have compassion for the fears and flaws of others. so we might have room to be with them in those places. So we might change them as we change ourselves with the courage of love and compassion, to see humanity as one people on one lonely planet that can ill afford to let fear guide its actions. This evening, as we remember acts of nuclear violence that punctuated the horrors of this past war, let us remember that the violence of war, of fear and hatred of the other, has not left us. Not even in this hour, not even in this minute. So we take time to remember that compassion has saved and still saves hundreds and thousands of lives, even in the darkest violence of war. Compassion at the right time in the right place might have changed history. We must be ready to change history at any moment. We ask for strength and dedicate ourselves to overcoming our fears and draw upon the courage of love for ourselves, our families, our friends, our nation, and especially for those that we disagree with ultimate compassion, so that our love will have a chance to save us and the world, even in a small way, once again. And the arc of the universe is moved by our hearts and hands towards justice once more. So may it be. Amen.
Thank you, Jim, so much. That's wonderful. So nice to have you and Teresa both. Welcome. Another part of the tradition is to have the mayor's proclamation. I am a big fan of the mayor.
Yeah.
But there's a big but here. I'm a little concerned about the security of our town. I just want to let you know that my son and I walked up here with this bomb in plain sight today about 1 o'clock. Nobody even lifted an eye. I mean, that kind of concerns me. But really, let's all welcome Mayor Lionel Jordan. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening.
Well, it has been an exciting month for me. But I'm proud to be able to bring the following proclamation from the city of Fayetteville. Since 1979, citizens of Fayetteville have gathered annually around the anniversary of the nuclear bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki to remember the loss of life and the destruction caused by wars. The proliferation of nuclear weapons and missile defense systems throughout the world costs hundreds of billions of dollars, and estimates of nuclear waste disposal costs are upwards to $50 billion. The 20th century has witnessed the development of new skills in conflict resolution, international peacekeeping, and a burgeoning human rights system, encouraging the hope that our culture can become one of promoting peace and constructive cooperation. The United Nations General Assembly seeks individual commitment via the Manifesto 2000 to make this decade a time to transform the culture of war and violence into a culture of peace and nonviolence. The Manifesto 2000 further states that each individual may share in his or her responsibility for the future of humanity, in particular to the children of today and tomorrow. No matter if they're domestic or foreign, they're all children of the world and children of ours. This year marks the 69th anniversary, the first bomb that was dropped on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. Now therefore, I, Lionel Jordan, Mayor of the city of Fayetteville, Arkansas, do hereby proclaim August the 10th, 2014 as a day of remembrance of the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and Fayetteville, and encourage each of us to honor our peacemakers and renew our commitment to the prevention of such suffering in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Lionel. Fernando, could you come up, please, real quickly? I want to introduce the president of OMNI. You probably have met, but you might not have, Fernando Garcia.
Yeah.
And Lionel, if you could just present the proclamation to our president, I would appreciate it, and we'll get it on film there. Thank you. Excellent. Thank you, Fernando. Good. Very nice. As always, thank you, Lionel. You do an excellent job for us. So we have a few musical contributions to this endeavor, and I'm really excited about this. You probably have all heard of, there's a band that made a lot of waves for a long time named Cletus Got Shot. Yeah. Wonderful band. And well, the songwriter for that group is Adam Cox, and he is a very prolific songwriter and has a lot of songs about working class struggle and all sorts of good topics. And actually, another thing you might not realize about him, he's also a co-conspirator with Jacob George. You know Jacob George, a wonderful CD?
Yeah.
Well, Adam co-wrote almost every song on that album, so is actually a real big part of that behind the scenes. I'm a big fan of Adam. Let's have a big hand for Adam Cox.
Yeah.
Put this on the high side.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you guys for having me. Yeah, my name's Adam Cox, just like the band said. And I am going to do a song off of Jacob's album. It's actually a song that we wrote. He came over to my house and told me the story about, well, bombs affect a lot of people in a lot of different ways, They obviously affect the people that they fall on, but a lot of times we don't think about how it affects the people that pull the trigger, or pull the lever, or push the button, or make the phone call, or all of the different aspects that come together to create this thing that falls on the ground. And there was a kid from Fort Smith, Arkansas, that Jacob had run into one time, and he was telling him that he fought for the 188th in Fort Smith. The 188th, if you don't know, they've been kind of disbanded now. It's different. They use drones now. But before that, they used A-10s, and A-10s were bomber planes, basically. And they were in, I can't remember if they were in Afghanistan or Iraq. It doesn't matter. They were somewhere using these things. And the guy, his job was to load the ammunition and the bombs onto the plane, and the plane would take off. In the first 6 months that he was there, he worked at this base where he would load the plane full of bombs and everything. The plane would take off, come back, and most all of its ammunition would be still intact. And he just assumed that the entire world was that way. And then he got moved from that base to another base where he loaded the bombs on the plane, and the plane took off. And when it came back, there was almost no ammunition left. And it was like that day in and day out, day in and day out. And he said after being there for however long he was there, 12 months, it really started getting to him. Wondered where those bombs were being dropped and who they were being dropped on, and what they were doing, So that's what this song is. Well, I fought for the 188, packed my bags to meet my fate. Well, off I went to pay my rent. I've been a patriot since I was 8. There I was with the old fighter wing, fighting a war no one can see. 8,000 pounds of bombs and rounds, we'll load it all up and we all sing. Hey ho, here we go, load 'em up and watch 'em go. I said, hey ho, here we go, load 'em up and watch 'em go. Well, after 12 long months of war, I got home to do my chores. But instead, I laid in bed. I could see that watch them go. Well, I went to the bar every night and tried to drink away all my pain and fright. And what could I do when that drinking was through but dream about war every night? Hey ho, here we go, load 'em up, watch 'em go. I said, hey ho, here we go, load 'em up and watch 'em go. This invisible war is too much for me. What we need is a conversation, you see. And it'll have to wait, cause I've got a date. Uncle Sam needs 12 more from me. Hey ho, here we go, load 'em up and watch 'em go. I said, hey ho, here we go, load 'em up and watch 'em go. I said, hey ho, here we go, load 'em up, watch 'em go. Anyways, I could have said it the next time, but I'm just going to say it now. That was a beautiful proclamation, by the way. We were all thinking it. I'm just going to say it.
Thank you. That's right. That's right. I need to say it. Very good. Well, you know, one very important component of this event is the reading of names. And so this is a very sweet thing. We have two people to help us read names. We have Lauren Hawkins, who is actually a board member of OMNI. Lauren, why don't you come up here? And we also have John Rule. You might know John Rule because he's a poet. He's also a movie star, right? Right. You might have seen Witch Hazel Advent. His granddaughter did a wonderful movie, and he doesn't like it when I make this big fuss about him. And he was the original board member. Oh, yeah, thank you. That's good. And Donna, my lovely wife, is going to ring the bell for this. And couple of position for you guys.
These are the names of the Baksha of Hiroshima and the Baksha of Nagasaki. Shuntaro Hida,
Nagoya,
Junko Kayashigi,
Merturo Taraguchi,
Satoru Onishi,
Tamir Nantaka,
Hamano Matsushita,
Sankachi Toiga,
Jun Watanabe,
Chieko Watanabe,
Yoshio Hamada,
Senja Yamaguchi,
Hidehiko Okazaki,
Akiyako Takamura,
Masato Yamashita,
Junioro Osakayo. I'm sorry for pronouncing the names wrong. Oh, precious girls.
We should all be wearing sackcloth and ashes.
That kind of makes it feel a little more real, doesn't it? It's a powerful thing. Thank you very much. We don't want to make a dreary event, but it's important. This is a serious thing, and we all know that. But nevertheless, we're going to bring it back up a little bit with another song, and I have Adam is going to do another song, and I believe actually probably get you singing along as well. So take us back to another space.
I told him I kind of felt bad about doing upbeat songs. But, kind of need them. My father once said that you couldn't sing sitting down. Donna and Kelly might say otherwise. But I am going to do, well, it's a song we all know, and we need to join in. If you don't join in, I'm going to harass you about it. It'll make you feel good, I promise. Well, I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by that riverside, down by that riverside, down by that riverside. Gonna lay down my sword and shield down by that riverside and study that war no more. Here we go now. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. No, I ain't gonna study that war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. No, I ain't gonna study that war no more. And I'm gonna lay down my burden down by that riverside. Oh Lord, by that riverside. I said, by that riverside, gonna lay down my burden down by that riverside and study that war no more. All right, let me hear you now. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. No, I ain't gonna study that war no more. Come on, well, we can all hear you. I'm gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. No, I ain't gonna study that war no more. And I'm gonna shake hands with every man down by that riverside. I said, by that riverside. Oh Lord, by that riverside. Gonna shake hands with every man down by that riverside and study that war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. No, I ain't gonna study that war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. No, I ain't gonna study that war no more. All right, here's the deal. So we got a lot of folks out there that say like this. That's exactly what you look like. And here's the deal. You know what I mean? There's something we said when you sing together. When you sing together, you can move mountains. So if you don't mind, sing with me.
Get in war, let's sing
Now
loud.
I'm gonna lay down that atom bomb down by that riverside. Oh Lord, by that riverside. I said by that riverside. Oh, lay down that atom bomb down by that riverside and study that war no more. Here we go now, like you mean it. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study that war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. No, I ain't gonna study that war no more. All right, last time. I'm gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. No, I ain't gonna study that war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. No, I ain't gonna study that war no more.
Nice job. Woody Guthrie.
Very nice. Good job of coaxing these people. Good job. That's nice. I love it when a dove lands on top of the peace sphere. Isn't that awesome? That's just so picturesque. You can't believe. You know, actually, Emily Case just said, she was asking me, what are you going to do with the bomb after the thing? You know, and she said, you should put doves in there. It could be a dove cage. Anybody want it? $2, $2, $2. Come on, give me $2. No. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention one thing. This is the Fat Man replica. It's actually 2/3 size. If it was the real deal, it would be 3 meters tall, so about 9 foot. It'd be quite a bit bigger. But that just give you an idea of what we're talking about. So we have two keynote speakers tonight, and I'm really pleased with the selection of both of these people. The first one barely needs an introduction because this person is the founder of the OMNI Peace and Justice Center. He is one of my heroes in life. He's a mentor to me. He also is a retired professor emeritus of English from the U of A, and I think there's not a single person in here that doesn't know who it is. Now, he's going to speak about a very important thing, and that is, in recent years, as I mentioned when I first started, there's been a lot of new ways of thinking. A lot of scholarship has taken place in recent years about this issue, whether it was justified. Like I say, there's enough years have gone by where finally we're free of some of the dogma, and we can start to really talk about this event in a new way. And so there's been quite a few very important books written in recent years, and Dick's going to give us some background on that.